Learning English can feel difficult, scary, and confusing. Many people want to speak English confidently, but they hesitate, worry about mistakes, or feel their mouth is too slow. John was like that too. He wanted to speak English clearly, but at first he struggled with words, sounds, and pronunciation. One day, John decided to change. He discovered a secret. Training your mouth is the key to speaking English fluently. He learned that every sound, word, and sentence could be practiced like a muscle, growing stronger with repetition and patience. Through daily practice, fun exercises, tongue twisters, and conversations, John slowly transformed. Mistakes became teachers, fear became courage, and speaking English became natural. This story will take you on John's journey. From simple words to fluent sentences, showing you how consistency, courage, and practice can turn anyone into a confident English speaker. Chapter 1. The Fear of Speaking. John was a young boy with big dreams. He wanted to speak English confidently, travel the world, and meet new people. But there was one problem. He was too afraid to speak. Every time he tried, his tongue felt heavy, his lips stiff, and words got stuck in his throat. He felt shy, nervous, and even embarrassed. At school, teachers asked students to speak in English. Some children spoke easily, others whispered softly. John stayed silent. He thought, "I cannot speak. I will make mistakes. People will laugh at me." These thoughts made him sad, unhappy, and frustrated. One evening, John looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a boy who wanted to say something but couldn't. His lips were pressed together. His tongue felt tight. He realized something important. English did not live only in his mind. It lived in his mouth, lips, and tongue. He needed to train his mouth, just like athletes train their muscles. John remembered a small exercise from his teacher. She said, "Move your lips, open your mouth, push your tongue gently, speak slowly, speak every day." He did not understand at first. How could moving lips help him speak? But he decided to try. The next day, John practiced in his room. He said simple words, "I am happy." He repeated slowly, then a little faster. He smiled when he succeeded. He tried synonyms too: happy, joyful, sad, unhappy. Slowly he felt his tongue and lips becoming flexible, soft, and alive. John also noticed something. Mistakes were normal. He said, "I am fine," as "I am fain." He laughed at himself. Mistakes did not mean failure. They were lessons. Learning English was not only about words. It was about courage, patience, and training his mouth every day. By the evening, John felt a small change. His voice was a little clearer. His words moved more easily. He felt proud, confident, and motivated. He whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, I will speak more. I will not fear. I will train my mouth, and one day I will speak English fluently." That night, John went to sleep with a new hope. The journey had begun. Fear was still there, but courage was growing. He knew this. Speaking English was not magic. It was practice, dedication, and belief in himself. And the first step was simple. Move your lips, open your mouth, and start speaking. Chapter 2. A Mirror and a Mouth. The next morning, John woke up early. He remembered the mirror from yesterday. He looked at his reflection and said softly, "I want to speak English." His lips moved slowly as he tried small words. "I am ready." He felt awkward at first, but he did not stop. John realized something important. Speaking English was not just about knowing words. It was about using your mouth correctly. He needed to train his lips, tongue, teeth, and even his breathing. Every sound, every word had a special place in the mouth. He started with a simple exercise. He said the letters slowly. P, B, T, D. He pressed his lips gently for P and B. He touched his tongue behind the teeth for T and D. He repeated each sound 10 times. Slowly, his lips became softer, his tongue stronger, and his voice clearer. Next, John tried short words. Pen, pan, bed, bat. He noticed the small differences in sound. If he spoke too fast, the words mixed up. If he spoke too softly, no one could hear him. He realized the secret. Slow, careful practice was the key. John also practiced some longer words, like happy, joyful, sad, unhappy. He whispered them first, then spoke them louder. Each time he repeated, he imagined the word moving smoothly from his lips and tongue. He felt proud. Slowly, the fear of speaking began to fade. One day, John even tried a small conversation in front of the mirror. He said, "Hello, my name is John. I want to speak English. I am learning every day." He smiled at himself. Mistakes happened, but he laughed. Mistakes were not enemies. They were teachers. Each error taught him how to move his mouth better. By evening, John created a small daily routine. He decided to practice for 15 minutes every day. His exercises included lip warm-up, pucker and release 10 times. Tongue practice. Touch teeth, move left and right. Breathing. Take a deep breath. Speak slowly. Word repetition. Simple words. Then longer phrases. John felt a small change in his voice. It was clearer, smoother, and stronger. He whispered to himself, "Each day, my mouth is learning. Each day I am growing. Soon I will speak with courage." That night, John went to bed feeling excited. He had discovered a new secret. English lives in your mouth, lips, tongue, and breath. To speak fluently, you had to train every part. It was not magic, it was practice, patience, and determination. And so John's journey continued. From silence to sound, from fear to courage, he knew one thing clearly. His mouth was ready to learn, and so was he. Chapter 3. The Power of Sound. John woke up feeling excited. Yesterday's practice had made his lips and tongue stronger, but he knew there was still much to learn. Today, he wanted to understand something very important: the power of sound. He remembered his teacher saying, "Every sound in English has a place and a shape in your mouth. Learn it carefully, and speaking will become easier." He started with simple consonants: P, B, T, D, K, G. He noticed how his lips pressed for P and B, how his tongue touched the teeth for T and D, and how the back of his tongue moved for K and G. Each sound felt like a small exercise. He repeated them slowly, then faster. His mouth felt like a small athlete training muscles. He could almost feel his lips and tongue getting stronger with each repetition. Next, John focused on vowels: A, I, O, U. He practiced short and long sounds carefully. A as in cat, A as in cake, E as in bed, E as in eat, I as in sit, I as in sight, O as in cot, O as in coat, U as in cup, U as in cute. He realized that small differences in sound could change the meaning of words completely. For example, pen and pan, ship and sheep, cat and cut. If he pronounced a word incorrectly, the meaning was lost. This was the true power of sound. A tiny difference could make a big change. John also added synonyms and antonyms to his practice: happy, joyful, sad, unhappy, big, large, small, tiny, fast, quick, slow, sluggish. He said each word slowly, noticing how his lips and tongue moved differently for each sound. This exercise was not just about pronunciation. It was about learning new words and feeling confident saying them. He created a small challenge for himself. Every morning, he chose 3 tricky words and repeated them 20 times. Today's words were play, pray, plan. He moved his lips carefully, felt his tongue pressing and lifting, and listened carefully to each sound. At first, mistakes happened. Play sometimes sounded like pray, and plan had a soft ending. But he laughed and tried again. Mistakes were no longer enemies. They were teachers helping him grow. By afternoon, John tried speaking full sentences. I am learning English. Every sound is important. My lips and tongue are becoming stronger. I practice every day. He noticed something amazing. He could speak longer sentences without stopping or feeling nervous. His voice was clearer, smoother, and stronger. Mistakes still occurred, but they felt smaller and less scary. John realized an important truth. Words are not just letters. They are sounds, movements, and meaning combined. To speak English fluently, he had to listen carefully, feel the words with his mouth, and repeat them regularly. Each small practice today made tomorrow easier. Each word, each sound, each repetition was a step forward. Before sleep, John whispered to himself, "The power of sound is in my mouth. I will train it every day. I will not fear mistakes. I will speak English fluently. I will grow word by word, sound by sound." That night, he fell asleep with a smile. From simple letters to meaningful words, from fear to courage, John discovered that practice, focus, and listening to sound were the keys to speaking English confidently. His journey had begun, and every sound he trained today would echo in his confident voice tomorrow. Chapter 4. Repeat and remember. The next morning, John woke up with a determined heart. Yesterday's lesson had taught him the power of sound, but he knew the key to speaking English fluently was practice, practice, and more practice. He whispered to himself, "My mouth is my teacher. My lips, tongue, and breath will guide me." John began with simple words again. He repeated words slowly. Cat, cut, ship, sheep, pen, pan. Each repetition helped him feel the correct movement of his lips and tongue. He noticed a small but important change. His mouth felt more flexible, and his voice clearer. Mistakes still happened, but now they felt like stepping stones, not obstacles. Then John tried short phrases. He said slowly, "I am happy. I am learning. I will try again." Each time he focused on pronunciation, stress, and rhythm. Speaking full phrases was more difficult than single words, but it was exciting. He realized that repeating phrases over and over was like training a muscle. Each repetition made his mouth stronger and his words smoother. John decided to make a small routine. Every morning he spent 15 minutes practicing warm-up sounds. P, B, T, D, K, G. Word repetition: happy, joyful, sad, unhappy, big, large, small, tiny. Short phrases: I am learning, I can speak, Every day I grow. Mirror practice. Watch lips, tongue, and facial movements. At first, it felt tiring. His lips and tongue sometimes hurt, but he remembered his teacher's words. Your mouth is a muscle. Every repetition makes it stronger. Slowly, he felt improvement. His words were clearer. His pronunciation became sharper. Every mistake became a lesson. In the afternoon, John tried reading aloud. He opened a small book and spoke slowly. The sun rises in the east. The sky is blue. Birds are singing. He noticed that reading aloud helped him connect sounds into sentences. He also learned new words: rise, ascend, blue, azure, sing, chant. He repeated these words, noticing how the mouth moved differently for each sound. John also made a new challenge. He recorded his voice on his phone. Listening carefully, he compared his pronunciation with the correct sounds. Sometimes he said rise as rice, or blue as blue. He laughed, corrected himself, and tried again. Each repetition made him feel more confident. Before bed, John whispered to himself, repeat, remember, and grow. Every sound I practice today will make tomorrow easier. My mouth is learning. My words are becoming powerful. I will speak English fluently one day. John realized something important. Consistency is the secret. Daily repetition, listening, speaking, and correcting mistakes were the real keys to learning English. He felt proud, motivated, and stronger than ever. The journey was still long, but every day he trained his mouth. Every day he grew closer to confidence. And so, John's journey continued. From single words to short phrases, from fear to small victories, he discovered that training your mouth every day builds a voice that can speak freely, clearly, and courageously. Chapter 5. Words are muscles. John woke up with energy and excitement. Every day he practiced his mouth exercises and repeated words and phrases. He noticed a small change. His lips moved faster, his tongue felt stronger, and his voice was clearer. He remembered his teacher saying, "Your mouth is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes." He started the day with warm-up sounds: P, B, T, D, K, G. Then he moved to short words: pen, pan, bat, bed, ship, sheep. He said each word slowly, feeling how the lips pressed and the tongue moved. He repeated them 10, 20, even 30 times. At first it felt tiring, but he remembered that muscles grow stronger when they are exercised. John realized something important. Words were not just letters or sounds. They were small exercises for his mouth. Pronouncing words correctly required practice, patience, and attention. He smiled and said to himself, "If I train my mouth, I train my words. If I train my words, I train my voice." Next, he practiced short sentences. I am learning. I am happy. I can speak English. Every day I grow. He spoke slowly, then a little faster. He noticed that his lips moved more freely now. His tongue could reach the correct positions easily. He could hear the difference. Mistakes were smaller, and success felt bigger. John also practiced synonyms and antonyms. Happy, joyful, sad, unhappy, big, large, small, tiny. He said each pair slowly, then together in a sentence. I am happy, joyful, and not sad or unhappy. My pen is big, large, not small or tiny. It felt funny at first, but it helped him remember the words and train his mouth at the same time. He decided to create a fun challenge. He would speak longer sentences every day and record them. He read aloud from a small book. The children play in the park. They are happy and joyful. The birds sing in the sky. The sun rises in the morning. He noticed the differences between words that sounded similar. Play, pray, rise, rice, sing, thing. Each time his mouth learned more. John laughed at himself when he made mistakes, but he never stopped. He realized mistakes were friends, not enemies. Every repetition, every attempt made his mouth stronger. He felt his confidence growing. He could feel the power of training his lips, tongue, and voice every day. By evening, John whispered to himself, "Words are muscles. I will train them every day. My mouth is learning. My voice is growing. Soon I will speak English fluently, clearly, and confidently." He went to bed proud and motivated. His journey was long, but every day brought him closer to fluency. From simple sounds to short phrases, John discovered that training the mouth, practicing words, and speaking every day were the real keys to speaking English with courage and confidence. Chapter 6. Mistakes are teachers. John woke up with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had been practicing English every day for weeks. His lips, tongue, and voice felt stronger, and his sentences were smoother. Yet he still made mistakes. Sometimes he said ship when he meant sheep, or pen instead of pan. At first, these mistakes frustrated him. He frowned, feeling disappointed and even a little hopeless. But that morning, something changed. He remembered his teacher's words. Mistakes are not failures. They are teachers. Every error teaches you how to improve. Every slip guides your mouth and mind. John took a deep breath and decided to look at mistakes differently. They were not enemies. They were clues. He began practicing with renewed focus. He repeated the words, ship, sheep, pen, pan, cat, cut. He said them slowly, feeling every movement of his tongue, lips, and teeth. Then he spoke them faster. Sometimes mistakes happened, but he did not give up. He laughed at himself, corrected the sound, and tried again. Each repetition was a small victory. Each mistake was a lesson. Next, John tried full sentences. He whispered, "I am learning English. Every mistake teaches me. I will not fear errors." Then he spoke louder. "Every day I grow stronger, wiser, and more confident." His voice was clearer, his pronunciation sharper. Every sound he trained made him feel proud. He realized the true secret. Courage to make mistakes was more important than perfection. John also practiced tongue twisters. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. At first, he stumbled. Seashells became sea sails. Pickled peppers became picket papers. He laughed out loud, but he tried again and again. Slowly, his tongue moved faster, his lips more flexible, his voice stronger. Each mistake shaped him, strengthened him, and made learning exciting. He also included synonyms and antonyms in his practice. Happy, joyful, sad, unhappy, big, large, small, tiny, fast, quick, slow, sluggish. He spoke them in sentences. "I am happy and joyful, not sad or unhappy. My cat is big, large, not small or tiny." By combining pronunciation practice with vocabulary, he learned 2 lessons at once: how to speak clearly and how to express more. By evening, John reflected on his journey. Mistakes were no longer frustrating. They were treasures. He whispered to himself, Mistakes are teachers. Every error shows me the way. Every wrong word guides my mouth, tongue, and lips. I will make mistakes, learn from them, and grow stronger every day. That night, John went to sleep with a bright smile. He had discovered the secret of learning English. Fear not mistakes, embrace them, and let your mouth train through every challenge. His journey was no longer just about words. It was about courage, growth, and the unstoppable power of practice. And from that day, John knew one simple truth. The more mistakes he made, the faster he would speak confidently, clearly, and fearlessly. Chapter 7. The First Conversation. John woke up feeling both excited and nervous. He had practiced for weeks. His lips, tongue, and voice were stronger. He could pronounce words clearly. He could speak short sentences fluently. But today was different. Today, he planned to speak English to someone else for the very first time. His heart beat faster, and his hands felt slightly cold. Fear whispered in his mind. What if you make mistakes? What if they laugh? He took a deep breath and reminded himself of everything he had learned. Mistakes are teachers. Words are muscles. Every sound I practice brings me closer to confidence. He smiled in the mirror, moving his lips and tongue slowly, saying, "Hello, my name is John. I am learning English. I am happy to speak today." Walking to the park, John saw a group of children playing. He noticed one boy reading a small book. John approached him cautiously and said softly, "Hello. I am John." His voice trembled a little. The boy looked up and smiled. "Hello, John. I am Alex," he replied. John's heart leaped. He had spoken his first real words in English. They started talking slowly. John used short sentences. "I like reading. I like learning English. Every day I practice words." Alex nodded and encouraged him. "That's good. You speak well. Keep practicing." John felt proud, happy, and joyful. He realized that speaking English was not only about knowing words, but also about courage, effort, and confidence. John practiced pronunciation carefully during the conversation. Words like pen, pan, ship, sheep, cat/cut came alive. He repeated them mentally before speaking. Each small effort made his speech smoother and more natural. He also used synonyms and antonyms naturally. I am happy and joyful. I am not sad or unhappy. My bag is big, large, not small or tiny. Alex laughed with joy. John laughed too. Speaking became fun. As the conversation continued, John tried longer phrases. I am learning English because I want to speak clearly and understand others. Every day I grow stronger. Every mistake teaches me something new. He paused, breathing carefully. His voice was clear. His pronunciation was better than ever. Mistakes happened, but he corrected them gently. He realized it was not perfection that mattered. It was progress. John also learned a new trick. He listened carefully to the sounds of the other person's speech and repeated them mentally before replying. Listen, feel, repeat became his new mantra. This way, his brain and mouth worked together, making speaking easier. He could now feel the rhythm of English, not just the words. By the afternoon, John was brimming with excitement. He had spoken to 3 different people in the park. Each conversation was slightly longer, smoother, and more confident. Words flowed naturally. He noticed tiny improvements. His lips moved faster. His tongue was agile, his voice was stronger. Mistakes were fewer, corrections were quicker, and his courage was growing by the minute. John realized something amazing. Conversation was like magic. It connected words, sounds, feelings, and courage all at once. The more he spoke, the more confident he became. Speaking English was no longer scary. It was thrilling. Every word practiced, every sound repeated, every mistake corrected became part of his growth. That evening, John sat under the old oak tree and whispered to himself, "Today I spoke for the first time. Today I turned fear into courage. Words are not just letters. They are power, confidence, and freedom. I will continue speaking, learning, and growing. One day I will speak fluently, clearly, and boldly in front of the world." John had crossed a new milestone. The journey was far from over, but he had discovered a life-changing truth. Speaking English was not about perfection. It was about action, courage, and consistent practice. His mouth was trained, his mind was ready, and his heart was full of hope. From that day, John spoke English every chance he got. He practiced, repeated, laughed at mistakes, corrected himself, and never stopped learning. Each conversation became a small victory. Each sound practiced was a step toward fluency. And deep inside, John knew this simple truth: courage, practice, patience, mastery. His first conversation had shown him that speaking English was no longer a dream. It was becoming his reality. Chapter 8. Pronunciation Battles. John woke up with a mixture of excitement and determination. He had spoken English for the first time yesterday. The thrill of conversation filled him with confidence, but deep inside, he knew the real challenge was coming. Pronunciation battles awaited him. Words that looked simple but sounded tricky. Words that could confuse even the bravest learner. He started with minimal pairs. Words that are almost identical but have different meanings. Ship, sheep, pen, pan, cat, cut, lev, leave, bit, beat. Each word was a battle. One wrong sound could change the meaning completely. John knew he had to train his mouth carefully, listening, feeling, and repeating. He began with ship and sheep. He said them slowly. Sh, p, sh, e, p. His tongue moved slightly back for the long E sound. He repeated them 10 times. Then he spoke faster. His lips moved more freely, his tongue agile, his voice stronger. Mistakes still occurred, but he laughed and tried again. Each attempt was a victory. Next, he practiced pen and pan. The difference was subtle. He pressed his lips slightly for P in pen, then opened them more for pan. He felt the air flowing differently, the tongue adjusting slightly. Repetition became his friend. By the third set of repetitions, his mouth moved almost automatically. John moved on to cat and cut, noticing the vowel sounds. He whispered, then spoke louder. "The cat is on the mat. Cut the paper carefully." He repeated each sentence multiple times, training both sound and meaning. Slowly, the tricky words became easier, and confidence began to grow. To make practice fun, John added synonyms and antonyms: happy, joyful, sad, unhappy, big, large, small, tiny, fast, quick, slow, sluggish. He spoke them in sentences. "The cat is big, large, not small or tiny. I am happy and joyful, not sad or unhappy." His mouth, tongue, and lips moved in rhythm with the words, and his brain remembered the sounds and meanings together. John also discovered the power of tongue twisters in pronunciation battles. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. At first his tongue stumbled. Seashells became sea sails. Pickled peppers became picket papers. He laughed loudly, but tried again and again. Slowly, each tongue twister became easier, sharper, and smoother. By afternoon, John decided to record himself. Listening carefully, he compared his pronunciation with correct sounds. Sometimes ship sounded like sheep, sometimes cat like cut. But instead of giving up, he corrected, repeated, and improved. Each recording showed progress. Each mistake became a lesson. John reflected deeply. Pronunciation was not just about words. It was about listening, feeling, and moving your mouth correctly. Each sound practiced carefully was a step toward mastery. His mistakes were teachers, guiding him to stronger lips, faster tongue movements, and a clearer voice. By evening, John whispered to himself, "Pronunciation is a battle, and my mouth is my weapon. Every word I practice strengthens me. Every mistake teaches me. I will not fear tricky sounds. I will conquer them one by one. I will speak English fluently, clearly, and confidently." John had discovered a powerful truth. Tricky words, minimal pairs, and tongue twisters were not obstacles. They were stepping stones. The more he practiced, the stronger his mouth and mind became. From ship, sheep to pen, pan, from short words to long sentences, John realized that consistency, courage, and focus were his greatest allies. That night he went to sleep with a bright smile. He knew that tomorrow new pronunciation battles would come, but he was ready. Every sound, every word, every tongue twister practiced today would echo in his confident voice tomorrow. And deep inside, John understood this simple truth. Practice courage, patience, mastery of pronunciation, and mastery of pronunciation was the gateway to speaking English fearlessly. Chapter 9. Daily Training Ritual. John woke up early, feeling excitement pulse through him. He had already spoken English to others and fought tricky pronunciation battles. But he knew the key to fluency was daily training, a habit so strong that it became part of life. Today, he was determined to create a powerful daily routine. He began with warm-up sounds: P, B, T, D, K, G. He moved his lips and tongue carefully, repeating each sound 15 times. Then he repeated short words: cat, cut, pen, pan, ship, sheep. Each word felt easier, smoother, and more natural. His voice was clearer. He realized that repetition was not boring. It was the secret weapon of mastery. Next, John focused on phrases and sentences. He said aloud, "I am learning English. I practice every day. Every mistake teaches me. I am growing stronger and more confident." Then he added longer sentences. Speaking English is not only about words, it is about courage, practice, and listening carefully. Every day I repeat, I learn, and I improve. His tongue moved faster, his lips softer, his voice smoother. John also included synonyms and antonyms in his daily ritual. He spoke them in sentences. I am happy and joyful, not sad or unhappy. My cat is big, large, not small or tiny. I run fast and quick, not slow or sluggish. Each repetition helped him remember the words and strengthen his pronunciation at the same time. To make practice exciting, John added a mirror routine. He stood in front of the mirror and spoke sentences aloud. He watched his lips, tongue, and teeth carefully. He noticed how P, B, T, D, K, G made subtle movements. He observed the flow of longer phrases. Mirror practice made him aware of every detail in his mouth and improved his clarity significantly. By afternoon, John introduced listening exercises. He listened to recordings of native speakers, repeating each sentence slowly and then faster. He copied their intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation. Sometimes he paused the recording, repeated a tricky word 20 times, and then continued. He realized that listening, speaking, and repeating together was a powerful combination. John also experimented with tongue twisters for fun. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. At first he stumbled. Seashells became sea sails. Pickled peppers became picket papers. But repetition made him faster and smoother. Each tongue twister sharpened his mouth muscles, improved his pronunciation, and made learning enjoyable. By evening, John reflected on his day. He had created a daily training ritual that included warm-up sounds, short words repetition, synonyms and antonyms practice, short and long sentences, mirror practice, listening and repeating, tongue twisters. John smiled proudly. His routine was not just exercises, it was a path to fluency, confidence, and courage. Each day he was training his mouth, mind, and heart simultaneously. Before sleep, he whispered, "Daily training makes me stronger. Every word, every phrase, every repetition builds my courage. My mouth is ready, my mind is focused, and my voice is growing. I will speak English fluently, clearly, and boldly." John understood something extraordinary. Consistency was the real magic. Training every day, practicing carefully, learning from mistakes, and speaking courageously were the keys to mastering English. His journey was no longer about fear. It was about growth, joy, and unstoppable progress. And deep inside, John knew this truth. Fluency is not instant. It is built one day, one sound, one word, and one sentence at a time. Chapter 10. The Unexpected Challenge. John thought he knew the path to fluency. He practiced daily, trained his mouth, repeated tricky words, and spoke with friends. Life felt predictable, safe, and encouraging. But one morning everything changed. He received a message from a famous English-speaking club in his city. "Join our public speaking challenge tomorrow. Speak for 3 minutes on any topic. Show your skills." John froze. 3 minutes, in front of a crowd. His heart raced. Fear tried to take over. "I am not ready. I might fail. What if I make mistakes?" But John remembered everything he had learned. Mistakes were teachers. Words were muscles. Daily practice built strength. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Courage is louder than fear. I have trained my mouth, my tongue, and my voice. I will try." He spent the day preparing. He chose a simple topic: my daily English journey. He wrote short sentences and repeated them over and over. I wake up early. I train my mouth. I practice sounds, words, and phrases. Every day I grow stronger. He included synonyms and antonyms. I am happy and joyful, not sad or unhappy. Words are my tools, not obstacles. John practiced tricky words: ship, sheep, pen/pan, cat, cut, live, leave. He said them slowly, then faster. He timed himself, speaking for 3 minutes continuously. His lips moved smoothly, his tongue agile, his voice steady. Mistakes happened, but he corrected them instantly. Each error taught him how to be better, faster, and clearer. The next day, John walked into the hall, feeling nervous but determined. The room was full of people. He saw confident speakers, some laughing, some smiling at their own preparation. He could feel his heart pounding, but he whispered again, "Fear is temporary. Practice is permanent. I can do this." When his turn came, John stepped onto the stage. He looked at the audience and began, "Hello, everyone. My name is John. I am learning English every day. I train my mouth, lips, and tongue. I practice words, phrases, and sounds. Mistakes are my teachers. Every day I grow stronger." He spoke clearly, with energy and rhythm. His tongue twisters and pronunciation exercises helped him glide through tricky words effortlessly. Ship, sheep, pen, pan, cat, cut. The audience smiled. They listened attentively. John felt a surge of confidence. His training was real, and it was paying off. Then he told a small story. "Yesterday I spoke to a friend for the first time. I was nervous. I made mistakes. But I laughed, corrected myself, and learned. That moment taught me courage and patience. That is why I am here today." The audience clapped. John smiled. He realized that the real challenge was not the 3 minutes on stage. It was the journey that led him here. Every daily repetition, every tongue twister, every mirror exercise, every mistake had prepared him for this moment. When he finished, people came up to congratulate him. Some asked questions. John answered with confidence. "I practice every day. I train my mouth. Mistakes teach me. Courage grows with practice." He felt proud, joyful, and unstoppable. That night, John whispered to himself, "The unexpected challenge became my greatest victory. Practice, courage, and patience made me ready. I can speak English, face challenges, and grow stronger every day." John realized a life-changing truth. Sometimes the greatest progress comes not from comfort, but from challenges we never expected. Fear becomes fuel, mistakes become lessons, and practice becomes power. Chapter 11. Mastery and Beyond. John woke up that morning with a calm but excited heart. He had faced his first conversation, tricky pronunciation battles, and even an unexpected public speaking challenge. Each day of practice, repetition, and courage had brought him closer to fluency. But today he felt something different. He was ready to go beyond limits. He began his day with his usual warm-up. P, B, T, D, K, G. He repeated short words. Cat, cut, ship, sheep, pen, pan. Each word felt natural. His lips and tongue moved easily. Next, he practiced longer sentences. I train every day. I learn from mistakes. I speak with confidence. I grow stronger and braver every day. His voice was steady, clear, and confident. John knew that mastery was not just about words. It was about thinking in English, feeling English, and speaking without hesitation. So he decided to describe his entire day in English. I wake up early. I practice sounds. I read aloud. I speak to friends. I listen carefully. I learn new words. Every day I improve. Speaking in full, flowing sentences made him feel unstoppable. He also included synonyms and antonyms naturally in his speech. I am happy and joyful, not sad or unhappy. I run fast and quick, not slow or sluggish. My cat is big, large, not small or tiny. Words flowed smoothly, his pronunciation precise, and mistakes almost disappeared. Next, John challenged himself with complex tongue twisters and tricky words. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? She sells seashells by the seashore. He repeated them 10, 20, 30 times. Each attempt was sharper, faster, and clearer. His mouth, tongue, and lips had become powerful, agile, and precise. Mistakes no longer scared him. They energized him. Then came the ultimate test, talking with strangers confidently in English. John approached people in the park, the cafe, and even the bookstore. He introduced himself smoothly. Hello, I am John. I am learning English. I practice every day. I enjoy learning and speaking. People smiled, nodded, and responded warmly. He asked questions, answered them clearly, and even told short stories. Every interaction built confidence, strengthened fluency, and made him fearless. John paused one evening to reflect. He realized the journey had transformed him completely. English was no longer a subject to learn. It had become a tool, a voice, a bridge to connect with the world. His mind, lips, tongue, and voice had trained together. Mistakes were now lessons. Fear was now fuel. Every single day of repetition, practice, listening, and speaking had built a mastery that felt natural, joyful, and unstoppable. He decided to set a new goal: to speak English freely with anyone, anywhere, anytime, without hesitation. He created daily challenges, reading longer books, telling stories, recording himself, practicing tongue twisters, learning idioms, and exploring new vocabulary. Every day he pushed a little further, growing stronger, smarter, and braver. That night, John whispered to himself with a deep smile, I have trained my mouth, my mind, and my heart. I speak English with confidence. I embrace mistakes, practice daily, and grow stronger every day. Fluency is no longer a dream. It is my reality. I am ready for any challenge, any conversation, any opportunity. Words are my power, and I am unstoppable. John had achieved something extraordinary: mastery of English, courage to speak, and confidence to face any challenge. But he knew the journey never truly ends. Learning is endless. Growth is infinite. And every new word, phrase, and conversation is a step beyond mastery. From the small steps of repeating cat, cut, and ship, sheep, to speaking in front of strangers and crowds, John had transformed completely. His journey was proof that practice, courage, patience, mastery. And mastery could change not just how you speak, but how you see yourself and the world. As he lay down to sleep, John felt proud, joyful, and unstoppable. He had crossed the bridge from fear to fluency, from mistakes to mastery, from hesitation to courage. The journey of training his mouth, mind, and voice had given him more than English. It had given him power, confidence, and the freedom to speak boldly, clearly, and fearlessly anywhere in the world. And deep inside, he knew the ultimate truth. Mastery is not the end. It is the beginning of endless possibilities.